Do you feel like you're more roommates than lovers lately? Well, you're not alone.
You can reconnect in just 3 days with no therapy, no expensive retreats, and no sappy love songs required. Well, this is Jim. He's got a black belt in grilling, a soft spot for jazz music, and he still opens the door for me after all these years.
And that's Tab. She's a firecracker in the kitchen and a sucker for a good Hallmark card.
And together, we're Unretired AF. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Unretired AF podcast, where we're going to be talking about how to reconnect with your spouse in just 3 days, even if you've been drifting. But before we go there, we want to give a shout out to our subscribers. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you. If this is your first time visiting our channel, welcome. And if you're a returning viewer and you like our content, please consider hitting that subscribe button. We are a new channel.
And like us.
And this is our 9th week. And we put out content every weekday, Monday through Friday. So let's get right into it. We know what it's like to drift a little. I mean, we know that every couple does. Life happens.
Yes, it does. It does. We get caught up in the day-to-day.
Yeah.
We both realize that, and I can say right now, it's been a while since we really connected.
Yeah. Yeah. And that happens to everybody. But the good news, there is good news, is it doesn't take months to turn it around.
No, it doesn't. So really just 3 days of doing a few things can have a huge impact on your relationship.
That's right. It can. All right. So we're going to go through those 4 things. First thing, appreciation.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the first things that can go in a relationship.
I do.
That you, I don't think that you stop appreciating, but I think you stop verbalizing it.
Yeah. So appreciation is something that most everyone likes to hear.
Yeah.
If no matter what you're doing, if somebody says, "Man, you really did a good job with that," or "Thank you so much for your help," or
Right.
"Man, I didn't know you knew how to do that." But if you get with your spouse or significant other, just give an acknowledgement of something that you really appreciate that they do.
Yeah. Now,
Tab has put a ton of work into our channel, much, much more than I have. And what neither one of us realized is how many hours it was going to take to make all this happen.
Yeah.
So
right now it's a full-time job.
It is. You're spending a lot of time, and I'm very appreciative of that. Very appreciative.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, and that's what it's all about. It's just saying, it can be as simple as telling your spouse, I know you worked really hard in the yard to make it look nice. Thank you. It doesn't have to even be anything huge or anything, but just, thank you. Sometimes just like, thanks for dinner. That's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
But I know you had a hard day and I really appreciate you taking the time to cook for us.
Yeah.
I know that you didn't really feel like it today. That kind of stuff is really heartfelt. And I think our spouses really appreciate it because we just want to be seen. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it takes no extra time.
Yeah.
It costs nothing to notice and appreciate someone for what they've done.
Right. Right.
You just need to be verbal and tell them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it doesn't even matter what your love language is. I think everybody wants to hear and know that they're appreciated, especially, and I think that's probably one of the top things that can cause, couples to drift a little bit into the roommate zone is when they stop feeling appreciated, because if you stop feeling appreciated by your spouse, then you're going to kind of stop doing things.
Right.
And then it just starts this vicious cycle.
Yeah.
And it's, in just a matter of a few days.
Right.
Just stop and really, and don't lie and make shit up about what you appreciate. Really look and find those things that you
Yeah.
do appreciate about
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
All
I
right.
agree.
All right. Step number two to how to reconnect with your spouse is non-sexual touch. And I know this is one that I'm sure that a lot of couples are deal with at times. Sometimes we can get into the habit of only having physical touch when it's going to be sexual, and it's important. It's important for couples to touch, and I know we don't probably touch enough in a non-sexual way. Holding hands. Sometimes you'll put your hand in the small of my back. A lot of men will do that. Just a nice long hug. Just even like talking, and you put your hand and
Yeah.
like reassurance, or just when you walk by.
Sure.
Just something like that. But it doesn't have to be sexual.
No. And that kind of touch reminds both your body and your heart that you're safe,
Yeah.
you're desired,
Yeah.
you're connected, and it doesn't always have to lead to the bedroom.
Right. 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 And I think for couples, that's this is a really important one too, because when we first get together, most of us, I know for Jim and I, we were like a house on fire. I mean, we couldn't keep our hands off of each other. But then that honeymoon, those honeymoon emotions, they fade, and they fade for everyone. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that you're not in love anymore.
Right.
But I think you just have to be intentional, and I can say I'm probably really bad at that, and I need to improve on that because um, I didn't grow up real touchy feely, and
Yeah.
so it's something that I have to think about, have to consciously think about. So, all right, number three of how to reconnect with your spouse, and this is a good one too: attentive listening.
Yeah. I know that I'm guilty of it. A lot of people are guilty of it. That our phones have become part of us. And although it's a great tool to use, I know I'm way too dependent on my phone. And it bothers me that I'm that dependent, but I love the little damn thing.
Yeah.
So it's I'm going to work on putting down the phone. I'm going to work on I don't really watch that much TV. But maybe we'll find a show and we can watch a show together.
Yeah.
Um, and the big thing is, I'm going to start asking more questions and try to be a better listener.
Well, and I think that is a huge a thing in relationships, all relationships, but especially with your spouse is, ask them a question like, how are things going for you? Do you have anything troubling you? Anything going on in your mind that's troubling you? And then zip it. Let
Right,
them talk. Don't correct them. Don't judge them. Don't interject your story. I'm like really bad at that. I am super bad at at if somebody's telling a story about something, I want to connect with them and show empathy. And I think sometimes the way I think to do that is to jump in and tell them my story that's
right,
just like their story or similar.
right.
And that's not nice. That's rude. That's rude to do. I'm
Yeah,
guilty of doing it. So I think, ask them, let them know you're listening, look at them, put your phone down. I mean, I think, like Jim said, a lot of people are connected to their phones. I am too. I mean, we all are. And just let them know that what they have to say is important to you,
yeah,
and that you're listening to them, and that you're not judging them or correcting them or inputting your whatever, your similar story. None of that. You know, just let them speak, and let them vent and say what they want to
right.
say, and listen to them, because listening is it's one of the most powerful forms of respect that you can give somebody, is just to give them your attention.
Nice.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I do. absolutely
Have
do.
you ever been talking to somebody and they're like this when you're talking to them at a
Yeah,
party and you know they're just looking for someone that they would rather talk to than
yeah,
you?
yeah,
We all have felt that.
yeah,
And then have you ever also noticed that people who have the strongest connections with people are the people that people will say when they talk about them, I felt like I was the only one in the room.
right.
They just really were listening to me.
Yeah,
That is powerful. And we need to definitely do that with our
yeah,
spouses.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, and number 4 in how to reconnect with your spouse is unplug to replug.
yeah,
So, maybe for one night, no screens, no TV, no phones, everybody turn their phone off. At least just even if it's just for like 3 or 4 hours, or put it on silent and set an emergency contact. If you don't already have that, you can set your phone with emergency
right.
contact so your kids can get through if there's an
Sure.
emergency or something. But, turn your phone off, turn the TV off, maybe light some candles, maybe play a board game, maybe just sit and talk, maybe play cards, chess, backgammon, do something.
Yeah. If you're not in the desert Southwest, to, like
Right.
today, man, it was like 114. Take a walk. Share a bottle of wine. You can do that in the cool. Have a scotch together.
Right. Right.
Um, you'll slide back into being us again.
Mm,
You really will,
that's right.
but you got to give it a shot.
You got to do something.
Yeah,
All right. Well, the takeaway from today's episode is that don't wait and think that it's going to correct itself. Don't wait and think that it's going to fix itself. All that's going to do is any resentments that you have are just going to fester
right.
and get worse.
Yeah,
So you have to fix it with action.
and the smallest actions
Yeah,
can often lead to the biggest rewards.
exactly.
And it's all about, I mean, the one word that all of this comes down to respect.
Yeah.
Respect the people that you love.
Yeah.
And this doesn't have to just be a spouse and or your spouse. It can be close friends. It can be, and we all have those friends that we don't ever feel like they're talking to us. Um, give them the respect. And when they talk to you next time, stare their ass down. Let them know that you're listening to
Yeah.
them. I promise you that it'll change.
Right.
So
Well, that shows care. That
yeah, it
shows
shows
care.
care.
It shows
Absolutely.
it shows that you care about them, and I think too I think with spouses, I think that you can definitely see a change in 3 days because think
Yeah.
about it. You're starting from a place where you picked this person.
Right.
There was obviously good things about them
Right.
that you liked when you picked them.
Yeah.
And you just got to find those again. Because I think
Right.
sometimes we start seeing the negative things and they
Yeah.
start being louder in our head than the
Right.
positive things. And we just have to, shoo those negative thoughts away and find that person. Because remember, they picked you too. And you
Yeah.
might be grumpy and bitchy and not paying attention to them and whatever. So, you know, as each of you gives to the other, things will change.
Yeah.
Things will
Yeah.
definitely
No doubt.
change. Things will change. They will.
I'm sure that you've got a story about this or some comments.
Yeah.
Um, please drop a comment in our comments section.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear your story. We always will respond to any comments. If you want to ask a question, ask it. If you have something that you know works that we haven't covered, tell us.
Yeah.
So
We'd
thank
love
you,
to,
though. Thank
we'd,
you very much.
yes, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
And thank you for the comments that we got last week. And we responded to them, as you'll notice.
Right.
So, feel free to leave us a comment. We're a new channel. We're in our 9th week. We don't have 500,000 subscribers. We have 21 subscribers. Thank you so much. We love you because we started with zero.
Yeah.
And we've gotten it in 9 weeks up to 21 subscribers. Each of you is important to us. And we're trying to make content that will be that that you will enjoy seeing. So if you have any show ideas,
Yeah.
drop that in the comments too. We would love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
Well, if you haven't already subscribed to our channel and you've enjoyed the content today, please hit that subscribe button and you'll get our content Monday through Friday, every weekday, Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
So,
And if you've learned anything or gained anything from any of our shows, please hit the like button.
yes.
We'd really like that.
Yep. Well,
I just said a rhyme, so give me a dime.
I didn't even hear it. I was focusing on my thing next. Well, we're not slowing down.
And neither should you.
And together, we're Unretired AF.